Okay guys, the point of today's warm-up as we lead into Friday's test is to make sure that we kind of review some concepts that are going to be on this test. We're going to review simplifying, putting them in standard form. We're going to review naming them based on their degree and based on the number of terms. We're going to review distributive property, multiplying, adding, subtracting, and then factoring. There's a lot in this one little, it's got 8 problems and it reviews all that stuff, guys. So there's a lot in this little bit of problems to make sure you're prepared for this test that's coming up on Friday. So getting started, the very first thing says to simplify and put in standard form. If we're going to simplify this, you've got to start by combining like terms, and you're going to start with the highest power first. This is the highest power. It's going to go in front, 3x squared. It doesn't have anything to combine with, so you start by writing that in front. The next thing that you're going to do is combine the ones that have just an x. So you're going to combine these. Guys, what's 12x minus 4x? 8x goes right here. Wonderful. Then you're going to combine the -1 and the positive 6. A lot of y'all make that harder than it is. Just do 6 minus 1. That's all it is. 6 minus 1. You got 1 negative 1 5. Just think of the positive in front. 6 minus 1 would put you at 5. And how you'd write that would be plus 5. Now, that's in standard form. How do I know? Because there's nothing else I can simplify, and it goes from the highest power down to the lowest power. Now we're going to name it. What would this one be called based on its degree and the number of terms? Quadratic trinomial. We'll talk about why. Hold on, but let me write it down. Quadratic trinomial. Quadratic trinomial. Now remember, quadratic trinomial, the first thing, quadratic comes from the one with the highest power. 2 is right here. You have that list. If there's none, it's called a constant. If it's 1, it's linear. If it's 2, it's quadratic. If it's 3, it's cubic. If it's 4 or anything higher, it's that degree, whatever it is, 4th degree, 5th degree, 6th degree, whatever it is above that. The other name is trinomial. That's based on how many different terms there are. Terms are separated by pluses or minuses. Since there are 3 terms, it is called a trinomial. The names we have for that for 1 term would be monomial, 2 would be binomial, 3 is trinomial. What do you call it when it's past 3? Polynomial. Poly means many, and then nomial is going to be the number of terms. So polynomial, polynomial. Many terms. Anything after 3 is just called a polynomial. Alright? So from here, the next thing we're going to look at is distributive property. When we're dealing with distributive property, we're going to be, guys, listen to me, we're multiplying. When we multiply like bases, what do you do with the exponents? Add them. Add them. Now, the multiplication of numbers has not changed. Some of y'all, like, when they were answering questions, you could tell they were getting the adding rules mixed up with it. This is where everything's going to start being combined, guys. So here we go. 6 times 3 is 18. You've been multiplying that for a long time. That's not new. What's new is what to do with the exponents. You are going to add these exponents when you multiply like bases. So it's going to be a to the 5th. Then you're going to multiply 6 times. Guys, what number's really here? Not just 1, but -1. Okay? So 6 times -1 is going to be -6. Then for the a's, you're adding those exponents again. You're adding a 3 and a 1. So that's going to give you -6a to the 4th. For the last one, guys, 6 times 10 is 60. Now that part of it people don't have problems with. 60 is good. But guys, since there's only an a to the 3rd here, all you do is put a to the 3rd on the end of it. There's nothing to combine it with. There's no exponents to add. You just write 60 a to the 3rd. Okay, is it in standard form?
Yes.
Why? Yeah, highest power down to lowest. You've got nothing else to simplify. All those are correct. Okay, any questions? Good. Okay, here we go. X times x. Guys, what do you do with the exponents? Add them, add them. So it's going to be x to the 2nd. X plus x, what do?
You
Add the ones in front. Guys, this is like adding regular numbers. Add regular numbers. All you're doing is like bases, you add the numbers in front. So 1 plus 1 is 2x. You never change the exponent when you're adding and subtracting. I'm going to say that like I told y'all 100 times probably. You never change the exponent when you're adding and subtracting. Now, why did I review these? Because we're about to add and subtract right here. And you need to know the difference between the rules. We already multiplied. Now we're going to add and subtract. Guys, y'all see there's the same problem? The only difference is this one has a plus, this one has a minus. When there's a plus in the middle, don't do anything. All you do is combine like terms. There's nothing to distribute, nothing to do. We're just going to multiply. We're going to combine 2b to the second and 3b to the second. When we're adding, we don't change the exponent. So it's going to be 2 plus 3, which is 5, b to the second. Do not change the variable. Okay? Then when we add these, it's going to be negative 4, and guys, what is this? Negative 4 and what? What's the number in front?
1.
So what is negative 4 plus 1?
Negative
3, and we just put the b on the end of it. Negative 3, put the b on the end of it. Okay, comfy. On the next problem, guys, when there's a minus in between your parentheses, you've got to add the opposite before you start anything. We're going to change this to an addition problem. We're going to distribute that sign to both the things in here. Since they were both originally positive, they're both now going to be negative. Then we do the problem exactly like the other one. We've changed it now to addition, so now it's just combine like terms. When we combine like terms, the b squareds go together again, except now it's 2 and negative 3. 2 and negative 3 is going to give you negative 1, but we don't write negative 1. We just write the opposite of b to the second. Sorry, it's lagging. B to the second. And then for the part at the end, negative 4 and negative 1 gives you a total of negative what? Negative 5 with the b on the end of it. Negative 5 with a b on the end of it. Okay, guys, before we start factoring, because that's all the putting together, that's all the stuff I told you. Most of the tests putting together, there's one section of where you take it apart, where you're going to be factoring out the GCF. Just up through number 6, does anybody have any questions? These rules. Okay, so to do greatest common factor, you're going to need to be able to factor. In order to factor, you have to be able to find greatest common factor. In order to do greatest common factor, you're going to have to be able to follow this set of steps that we talked about. We'll review these steps. Guys, to start, you're going to draw a line underneath all 3 of these. You're going to look at the smallest number out of the 3, 12. Okay? You're going to look at the factors of 12. The first factors of 12 are 1 and 12. It's always 1 in whatever number you're talking about, guys. Does 12 go into 16? No, so we got to look for more factors. The next number up is going to be 2. How many times does 2 go into 12?
6.
So we're going to look at 6. Does 6 go into 16? Because we're trying to go to the biggest number possible, guys. It's called the greatest common factor for a reason. Okay, the next number up would be 3. How many times does 3 go into 12? 4. Okay, does 4 go into 16?
Yes.
Does it go into 20?
Yes.
There we go. That's our number. We put the 4 underneath all of these. Okay, guys. The next question is, do they have a variable in common? Yes, they do. Now they're to different powers, so you've got to decide what power to do it to. What power would you put on there? 3, because the third, whatever you want to call it, 3. And that's because it's the lowest power. Guys, the whole reason for that is you don't want to create negative exponents. So basically you're creating the highest number you can that won't create so basically all you do is look for the lowest power there. That's it. Looking for the highest power you can do without creating negative exponents, which means you look for the lowest power there. Okay, guys, when you do this, you're going to write the 4x to the third in front of your parentheses. Okay. 12 divided by 4. This is regular old division of numbers you've been doing forever. What's 12 divided by 4? 3. Okay? Then what do you do with the exponents when you subtract like bases? Sorry. Did y'all hear me? Yeah. When you divide like bases, what do you do with the numbers? Subtraction. Sorry. Answered the question for you. I apologize, guys. X to the first is just written as X. Sorry, that was my fault. On the next one, 60 divided by 4 is going to be 4. And then what happens to the X to the thirds? They cancel. And then minus 5, because 20 divided by 4 is going to be 5. And what would the exponent be on your variable? 3 or a third, doesn't matter. 3 or a third is correct. Because 6 minus 3 is going to give you X to the third. Questions? Guys, listen to me. The next chapter, the next half of this chapter is based on this for every single problem you do in the next section. You have to start by looking for a GCF. Literally, every single problem. If you can't do this, this is going to really affect you when we start factoring going backwards. That's the next test. And it's probably one of the most important things that we will do all year, because teachers say they want you to know how to graph a line, solve an equation, and factor. Those are the things you've got to have to go on to Algebra 2. Okay, here we go. For this next one, what's the smallest number out of the 3?
18.
So, looking at the factors of 18, 1 and 18, I think it goes into 54, but I don't think it goes into 27. Check. It doesn't? Okay, and then 2 and 9. Does 9, yeah, 9 goes into both of them, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so here we go. 9's going to be our number. Guys, you can stop when you find one. You can put more of them. You can just list all the factors if you want to, but you don't have to. Once you find the one you need, stop. Okay, put 9 underneath all of them. C to the what?
Just C.
Is there one that's just C?
Yeah, the last 27.
Last one. There we go. Perfect. Put that 9C in front. Whatever you write on the bottom, you got to put that in front. And then you simplify them. 54 divided by 9 is going to be 6. For the C's, you got a 3 minus 1, and 3 minus 1 will leave you C to the second. Plus 18 divided by 9 is 2. And then for the C's, guys, a 2 minus 1 would leave you C to the first, but we just write it as C. For the last one, 27 divided by 9 is going to be 3. And then the C's do what? Cancel. Okay, guys, that's your warm-up. Does anybody have any questions? Anybody have any questions?